Trade deadline day in the NFL is typically met with almost the same amount of fireworks as we see on the 4th of July. And yesterday was no different. It actually doubled the moves we saw from last year. You really had more movement than a step-up movie, along with some absolute dynamite moves by contenders when it comes down to picking winners and losers. Now, when I look at winners and losers, to me with trades, it's about quality, not just quantity. It's not how many you make, but how good they are, even if it's a couple. You look at the Dolphins. They've put on a clinic recently on how to trade picks for players, as we saw last year with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and this year adding Bradley Chubb. But my winner of the trade season and trade deadline only made one move, but boy was it a big one. And it plugged a hole that needed to be fixed before this team turned into the Titanic. And that team is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens have not been themselves when it comes to defending the run. We've seen second half collapses because of it, and we've seen the effect it has on opponents using the play action game to slice the Ravens up and down because the run was so effective. Baltimore landed arguably the best linebacker in the NFL in Roquan Smith. He leads the league in tackles with 83, and he'll provide instant relief for a contender with good enough weapons to make a legitimate run. But perhaps the biggest effect Roquan will have won't even take place during the play. As an offensive coordinator or play caller, you know he's coming downhill, and he's clogging up more than hair in a drain. He changes the way you have to attack the Ravens, and you will see teams become more one-dimensional than they have been all season against the Fighting Edgar Allan Poes. Now, there are multiple teams that made some really nice moves yesterday. But if we are grading moves, then the Ravens just went Patrick Swayze. But when you look at some of what were some that stood out to you? I mean, you look obviously the Dolphins moving Chase Edmonds and getting Jeff Wilson, and looking at really all in the spectrum yesterday of all the moves. Obviously, Roquan Smith to the Ravens was the one I thought was you're going to see the most bang for your buck, I guess, per se. What's one that stood out to you?
I like the T.J. Hawkinson trade for the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't like the Lions getting rid of him. The Lions were
same division.
Same interdivision trade there. I was shocked to see that, man. The Vikings got better at a position they needed to with Irv Smith Jr., I believe, is on the IR right now.
8 to 10.
I was surprised to see the Lions get rid of him. I think this guy is a top 5 tight end in the league, and the Lions were really piecing that offense together with DeAndre Swift and with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And so, I don't know. I was a little surprised to see that within the division, but a great move for a Vikings that's a one-loss Vikings team right now, guys. You know, we've talked about the NFC not being as strong as the AFC this year, except for the Philadelphia Eagles, but look at the Vikings right there with one loss. And then also the Dolphins. So Bradley Chubb traded from the Broncos to the Dolphins, and then the Dolphins immediately send running back Chase Edmonds to Denver, but then replace him with Jeff Wilson, the back from the 49ers, after obviously the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey. So there's a couple interesting ones. How about you, Blaine?
I really like this is kind of a low-key one from Nyheim Hines.
That was
the Bills, got another back there. First of all, this guy's phenomenal out of the backfield, especially receiving. I think he had over 800 or 900 yards receiving last year. You get a compliment to Devin Singletary. And right now, what are the Bills doing? They're loading up to win a Super Bowl. That's what the Bills are doing. And I like Calvin Ridley to the Jags. Yeah. I mean, you got a fifth round, a conditional fourth round for Calvin Ridley, just another piece. And Calvin Ridley was the number one guy at Atlanta. And he's young and only getting better. I know he's gambling on games, but he figured it out. Well, I mean, he gambled on his own team.
Well, here's the funny part. You want to know how you know this suspension for Calvin Ridley's a joke? One of the teams that he bet the Falcons to beat was the Jaguars. So the Jaguars just acquired the guy who got suspended for betting on his own team to beat him. They were like, no, he's gambling on his team to win. We'll never take that guy. They're like, please, Calvin Ridley, come over. This suspension's a joke, that it's a season long. It's laughable at best, but I don't even want to go down that road. But the Nyheim Hines one, Blaine, takes a lot of pressure off Josh Allen, I think. You kind of look at the amount he's having to run, at the things he's having to do. I think this is going to give him another outlet out of the backfield. And a guy, when you get into the red zone, got some James White in him. If you remember Tom Brady and James White, the way they were able to work it. The running back passing game in the red zone is absolutely crucial, and the best teams do it well.
And the Chiefs add what? Kadarius Toney.
Yeah,
just another piece, just another weapon. I mean, you kind of look at the upper echelon teams. The Eagles, what do? You add Robert Quinn. Hey, the Bears made a move. Chase Claypool?
Yeah.
And what about the teams who didn't make a move?
The Packers.
What are you doing?
What in God's name is Green Bay doing? What are you doing?
I thought for sure they'd go make a move for Chase Claypool.
Or somebody. And you know it's bad when you have to go get Chase Claypool to be your playmaker. What the Packers are doing to me makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And you're not totally out of this thing. It's not a throwaway year yet. Hell, it's Aaron Rodgers. You realize the mistake you made in the draft by not going to get one or going to get a trade to get one and give somebody a pick, but you're still not making, and now it's cooked. Now you're cooked. Now you're stuck with this. You're just stuck in neutral. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw it to himself. The two Aarons, Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones, that's about it. That's about it. I don't understand what the Packers are doing. It makes absolutely no sense to me, and you can tell Denver's already selling off. Denver's already thrown the season away, and if Russell Wilson was doing high knees for 4 hours in a plane, I'd have sent his ass out too.
Which I'm a little surprised by that. Not the Steelers so much. I thought we'd see something here with one of these wide receivers getting moved from the Steelers. The Jags, I like what you were talking about with Calvin Ridley, because now you pair him with a Christian Kirk, and you already have ETN out of the backfield. Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch when it happens. But obviously, he's suspended for the whole year, and the Jags aren't in contention. The Bills and the Chiefs very much are in contention, can both win a Super Bowl. So how do you think Nyheim Hines? How do you think they will use him? Is he going to be running back one for Buffalo, and is it a 3-down package?
No, I think they're going to continue to kind of use them by committee. I think you're going to see a lot of situational stuff in the running back room, obviously. But and I don't want people to think Nyheim Hines is just a receiver.
No,
like he's a heck of a. I think him and Tony Pollard are.
Can you line him up on 1st and 10?
Yeah.
Oh yes, okay. Yes. He's a complete back to me. The question a little bit about pass protection with Nyheim Hines. That's what they worry about with Tony Pollard a little bit. But he is a guy that in any situation you need that third down back that can go out in a route that you want to motion out and put into empty and can get in the slot and do some things. He's that guy. But again, they needed Devin Singletary is a good back. But for the Bills, we know that running backs, that the odds of you making it the whole season without getting hurt, knock on wood for anybody, isn't very good. So you have another guy that's able to be in that room that you can count on. But I think they got Nyheim Hines because Josh Allen is really good at what? Improvising out of the backfield and having a threat the running back that can go out of the backfield when Josh takes off, he can spit it to that can take it for 70. I think he made them better in every single area, but I do think it takes a little bit of pressure off of Josh Allen because I do worry a little bit with Josh that sometimes he doesn't throw the check down enough. He says, all right, I'm going to go run for 5 yards and lower my shoulder on a safety instead of saying, you know what, why don't I spit the swing out to Nyheim Hines?
He's good at running too.
He's good at running too. You know what his job is? You know what the name of his job title is? Running back.
And if you catch it first, you can still run after.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So, Blaine, what do you think on that?
I think you're going to see him and Singletary probably split this 50-50.
50-50.
50, maybe 60-40 early, so just got traded. But I do think you'll see Nyheim Hines a lot in the red zone.
Okay.
And that's where that kid eats. That's where he's eating. I mean, being behind Jonathan Taylor, he used to the guy who catches out of the backfield.
That's why it made sense.
But he's in my opinion, he's a 3-down back for sure.
Okay.
But I think Devin Singletary is probably a little bit better than him right now. But I do think you'll see Nyheim Hines a lot in the red zone.
I think they're different runners. I think it's almost a little bit of a thunder and lightning situation. I think Singletary is more of a thumper than Nyheim is. But that's not saying Devin can't hit the home run and Devin's bad out of the backfield. I think they're slightly different, but I think you're giving defenses two different looks. And what you have to prepare for taking on that running back room, and then Josh Allen with what he can do out of the backfield, I think that's what presents.
And it made sense for the Colts with Jonathan Taylor there. So, it made sense to move your back. So the same question for the Chiefs now, though, because I thought they may add like a true X receiver, a bigger type, taller
possession
receiver.
guy?
Possession guy, Instead, they had Kadarius Toney, which is still a great weapon, but how are they going to use him along with Juju Smith-Schuster?
There's a couple things I don't worry about. Number one is winning an argument against my fiance is not going to happen. Number two is
smart man.
Auburn, me having hope for Auburn at some point. It's going to let me down. And number three is I'm never going to question when Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy get in a room with guys like Kadarius Toney and Juju Smith.
And say they're
going to find a way. I'm not at this point after watching because they've kind of revolutionized a lot of the motion game. You look at the angles. Last night I'm watching Ohio. I'm watching some action, baby. We had it last night, and Ohio gets on the goal line and they run one of the plays we saw with Tyreek Hill all the time with the Chiefs, where they motion you inside, stop you, and take you right back out as the guy's motioning behind. And Ohio was able to hit him for a touchdown. So outside of drawing mustaches on players' faces when they're falling asleep, I don't worry about anything.
I still think the Chiefs are trying to somewhat replace Tyreek Hill. And Kadarius Toney is somewhat in that same realm, because let's look at the Chiefs receivers right now, especially the leading receiver. Obviously, you have Travis Kelce. That's why I don't know if they would have got another possession guy. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, I would say possession. Then you have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, your third leading receiver, who's 6'4", so possession guy. So now they're just trying to fill in those gaps. those speed guys. Those
I don't
play
think
guys.
about Scantling as a possession guy. I think
He's a
speed
bigger
guy that happens.
He's a bigger guy.
But my thing is, if you look though at the numbers, both Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs have benefited from this trade. The Chiefs have more explosive plays this year than they ever did with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's having one of his best years he's ever had. I think it was kind of a match made in heaven. Now look, if the Chiefs would have kept Tyreek Hill, they'd have been just as good, have been just as dangerous. But when you're looking at the numbers and you're looking at the success rate, it seems that this is one of those rare instances where both sides win in a trade. Hey everybody, hope you're enjoying the content. November 2nd was my birthday, and all I want is for you to subscribe. Don't leave me hanging. Don't make me Oliver Twist.